It's on.
All right. We are now streaming. Let's see it. So you got to go back here because you're doing double duty, right? So until we get our producer back or our engineer back, this is how we're going to go. So here we go. I love that music. Here we go. The show starts in 5 seconds. Here we go.
3, 2, 1. Talk Radio.
Welcome to the American Allegiance Show. I have music in the background already. I don't need to have music on here. So let's go to the promo. I love this promo. Let's go.
You are listening to Patriot Nation Radio Live, 347-637-3942.
That's right. Here we go. Another edition of the American Allegiance Show. Number is 347-637-3942, 347-637-3942. And welcome tonight, my guest, Mr. James Bostic. Yes. Okay. I think we're good now. Welcome to the program. Always good to have you on. So we're going to talk about, let's go to a little video first. Okay. Let's do this.
Sure.
I think this is interesting. And we'll get into what we have later. So here we go. Let me get out of here. Yep. I don't know why it says that. So a little quirks there, but we're good. All right, here we go. Video, cue video. I'm going to present this. Okay, already open it. And it's kind of easy on StreamYard. So let's see what we got here. Present. It's in another tab. Share screen. All right, here we go. This is a unique video, and I watch this guy all the time. He's pretty cool. Let's go. You guys see my screen?
The sign of what's to come. And you know, we've been having the conversation about all of these troops that we're sending to Israel for non-combat purposes. And I look at what's happening in Iraq and Syria, and you know, this is the beginning. The invasion has not even happened yet. The war hasn't even really begun yet. And the attacks on U.S. forces are already ramping up. And, you know, that's happening in Syria and Iraq. So the U.S. is going to treat that one way because we already had forces stationed over there. Now, if something were to happen to these soldiers that we're sending to Israel, that's going to be a whole nother story. Like, don't get me wrong, we're reacting to these attacks in Syria and Iraq. We're getting ready to send more troops over to Syria and Iraq. I think we just sent a squadron of fighter jets today. Yes, a squadron of F-16 fighter jets were sent to the Middle East just today. So we're responding to that as well, but I guarantee you the response will be 10 times worse if something happens to these soldiers that we're sending to Israel. And I can only imagine that something's going to happen. And maybe that's what America wants, because maybe the U.S. is just waiting on, you know, someone to lash out. They're waiting on something to give them an excuse to just go ham. You know what I mean?
All right. All right, guys, what do you think? A question for you. Welcome, Mr. Buckler. Good to have you on. Join us tonight.
Thank you, Kevin. Good to see you. Jim, James, how are you?
Yes.
I'm doing well, Bill. Good to see you too.
Yeah.
So my question for you guys, okay, we're sending F-16s over. They already have F-16s there. By the way, the picture they showed, I've worked on some of those that they showed in the picture, New Jersey. So Atlantic City. So why would we need those over there? They already have like the best equipment over in Israel. And why are we sending all the troops and everything else if there's just Hamas? What's your speculation on that?
If you want
Go ahead,
me
Bill.
to respond on that, F-16s, this is the first I've heard of F-16s And F-16s, they're United States Air Force aircraft. So where are they going to operate out of? They're not going to operate out of Israel, I don't think. And there's none of the countries surrounding Israel, I think, are friendly enough that they're going to let us operate F-16s unless it's Jordan. That's a possibility. So this whole story, I wonder where these stories come from. Now, F-16s don't operate off of carriers, and we've got 2 carrier groups in the area. So I don't know anything about this. I'm kind of wondering, I guess I'm still conflicted on whether we should really be involved in what I think of as a civil war. Isn't that really what we have here? Although it's really the Arab terrorists against the Jewish people, but they're all in the same country, and it just seems to me like a civil war. So should we be involved in it, and should we be sending our troops there, and should we be paying them money to Palestine? Why would we give money to Palestinians or to Gaza or to the Hamas? I mean, I don't understand that at all. They're Arabs, and they're surrounded by Arab countries. Why aren't the Arabs doing something about it? And then my last question is, and I'll turn it over to you guys, where in the hell's the UN?
I don't know. Hey, let me. You said something very interesting because you're talking about Jordan, because Jordan is that's a staging base. I've been there. I was there my last assignment, and that's where they go from. They'll go anywhere because that's right 30 miles from Israel, and it's not in Israel. It's another country. So they have F-16s too. So it doesn't make any sense, like you said. Why are we over there, James?
Well, we're over there because there are a lot of people in this country who really dig war. And yes. I want to share this with you, Bill. You're probably familiar with this, and I'm going to go ahead and talk about it. Last week, USS Arleigh Burke, which is a destroyer that's part of the USS Ford Naval Task Force that was moving into the Mediterranean, there wound up coincidentally being on station just hours before a concerted drone missile attack was launched, sending these vehicles into the Med. And the thinking at that time, or what we're being told the thinking was that these missiles potentially could have been targeting Israel. They could have been targeting the task force. And over a period of about 9 hours, they shot down a couple of dozens of these things. And we haven't heard anything more about it other than to say that they've ramped this up and they're sending more naval assets into that area based on what Arleigh Burke went through last week. Now, they say that these missiles and these drones were launched by the Houthi rebels in Yemen.
Yemen, yeah.
But there are a lot of people out there that have been looking at this, and they're questioning how the Yemenis must have got these Houthi rebels got this stuff. And what I want to share with you is this. In
got receipts?
2017.
Mm-hmm.
In 2017, the People's Republic of China established one of their first overseas naval bases in the small East African country of Djibouti. Now, this base that the Chinese have there has about 2,000 troops. It's stationed just a few miles away from Camp Lemonnier, which is a naval base there for the United States.
Yes.
The thing is that perhaps the Chinese have given this technology to the Yemenis, because if they had the opportunity to destroy people in Israel, or they had the opportunity to attack and severely damage a United States naval task force, that would be like a Medal of Honor target. And they wouldn't hesitate to switch from killing Jews to killing United States naval personnel. And I think
James, yes,
this may be, yeah, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No,
and I think this may be one. Okay.
Yes. No, you got a message.
Oh, I'm sorry. I have a message.
Yes.
Who knows I'm here? Did you tell anybody I was?
No, they just saw you.
Oh, okay.
So-
Hi, Carolyn. Good to see.
No,
But
go ahead.
so the thinking is, and, you know, for the conspiracy people, and I'm not saying one thing one way or another. This information that I'm sharing with you guys comes from Conservative Treehouse and an author and a contributor there that I've known for many years and trust implicitly. So the biggest question is, if this is the case, who exactly are we going to be fighting? I yield.
Right. Yes, you're right. Exactly. That's my whole point. Why do we need all this heavy equipment and firepower? And who are we fighting? Really, because it's not Hamas. Israel, thousands of years they've been doing this, right? So,
Yeah, it's
No, I think
actually
that what's going to happen is we're going to wind
1400.
up. What's that, Bill?
I said it's actually close to the 1400. I think they started this out about the year 632. At least that's what my research shows that I wrote
awesome.
about in my book. And you know, they've been you know, Islam it translates to submission. And what they've been trying to do is they've been trying to conquer the entire area. They want to conquer the entire planet. So I guess what James is saying kind of leads me to believe is, is this all a ruse to draw America in because they realize that the Biden crime enterprise is such a weak administration that they can now take over and defeat America?
Could be.
Well,
No, I don't know.
I can't argue against that. But if we look at it here, and you guys remember what the president said last week in his address on Ukraine, which was really supposed to be about Israel, but it was a disgusting bait and switch. And I think somebody, to be mean, kind of mixed up the pages on that speech because it was pretty disjointed and incoherent. But now we have a two-front war. We're operating in two theaters. We're going to be operating in Ukraine, if we're not there already. And now we're going to be operating in the Middle East, which leaves the Pacific open for the Chinese to take Taiwan.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And in our weakened condition, there's nothing to, I don't think there's anything to stop them from taking it if they really made that concentrated effort.
I agree. Yeah, everything we're involved in, we wouldn't have been involved in if Trump hadn't had the election stolen from him in 2020. Everybody, you know, I shouldn't say everybody, but bad actors tend to, you know, try and see what they can seize from weaklings. And they view America as weak. And let's face it,
Yes.
America is really in a state of serious decline, whether we want to believe it or not. Financially, economically, medically, educationally, militarily, everything that you can point to, we're in a serious state of decline. We're not the same country we were when I was young. When you guys were young, I'm a little bit older than you guys.
Just a little bit.
That's just because I've been around longer. But anyway, I think they see us as, you know, okay, China thinks, okay, we're going to be number one. So where's that leave America? America's going to be number two. Well, the Islamists, they want to take over everything. So they're thinking, hey, we can kick America out of the Mideast and out of the Mediterranean. Let's do it. I don't know. I'm just looking at this from a point of view as wondering, why in the heck are we involved in this in the first place?
Absolutely. So, James, you brought up Djibouti. That's a very strategic place.
Yes.
There's a lot of things that go on over there because Yemen's right across the Red Sea. Yeah. Yeah. I was there for like a month or so. It's hot, hotter than any place I've ever been. But like I think what you're saying, and I like what you guys are saying, because here's the deal. We have, like you said, we are so weak right now. Our Congress, our debt, our economy. We got people coming through the border. We don't know who's coming through the border. We don't know what's going to happen next. We've got people bringing us, you know, to the WEF, New World Order. We're going to change our money. all this stuff is possibly going to happen, but we are so weak right now. We're not showing any strength like we should. We got people with ponytails, men with beards in the Air Force now. Things are changed quite a bit. And now it's all about
people in the
feelings.
cabinet that wear admirals' uniforms with skirts.
Yes.
Rachel Levin.
Yes. So I'm going to go to Darren. Darren, what do you have to say, sir?
Well, I get it in the sense of serious concerns for the strength of our nation and the leadership of our nation. And I have similar concerns in how we're being set up for this, what Hamas did, which was atrocity at the level of the Nazis during World War II, and that is Israel being set up to the point where if they respond, they're going to start a larger war in the Middle East. If you think about in history how it repeats itself. Remember in World War I, some dumbass shot the prince and his wife down in Serbia, right? And then the entire World War I kicked off because, Germany was aligned with this country and another, Austria, Hungary. And, if they're going to attack there, Russia's going to attack you. And, and it just generated into a world war. And my concern is that, as you mentioned, we're not ready for a world war, and to be at that level, this is not the same kind of war that our grandparents fought. It's not the same kind of challenge because you have hypersonic weapons, you have all kinds of EMPs, and it's not going to be hey, that's the war over there. We got to go send men over there and women over there to fight. It's going to be an apocalyptic type event that will reset boundaries and world leadership. Now, is that from a biblical perspective? Now, I'm not sure where you guys are in the biblical perspective, but Jerusalem is a key player in apocalyptic events where the world is coming after Israel. And if you know the Bible and the book of Revelation, all this plays into that type of event. And knowing where we stand and knowing that we have leadership that can put us in the right position without just responding to every crazy event, how do we know that we have the right leadership in place? And I have great doubts about some of our leaders, but I know that in general, we still have a very strong force to defend us, but it's not going to be the same kind of war. And I don't know if that's, I know it's not going to be the same. And I just, like it was already mentioned, I don't want to get pulled in by a ruse somewhere else to play over here in this proxy war and defend the Ukraine and defend Israel, and then China takes over Taiwan and becomes, that's all scenarios that we don't know. I certainly would like to have more confidence in our leadership, but that's there's nothing that could change on that. Over.
You guys can speak freely, whatever you want to say. It's all good. You guys are very, very wise about these things.
Bill, I'm going to pose this question to you because I think you probably are going to have the best answer for it. If this happens, if events transpire to the point to where let's just say that we become actively involved, boots on the ground, actively involved in just one of these theaters, not both, but just one. How do you see that playing out in terms of our longevity in combat?
I think we're in serious trouble, because if we just go back over the last 25 years in the conflicts that we've been involved in Iraq and Afghanistan, we've had to call up reserves and National Guard to augment our active duty personnel. And we pretty much depleted our active duty personnel with deployments over the last 25 years. I don't know how many of them, the combat tested veterans, are still in the service. So, but I just, and right now recruitment is at an all-time low. We can't recruit people. And part of the reason is more than 70% of the young men and women who would be eligible for active duty service can't qualify. They're not eligible because of various reasons. So how long could we be in a protracted war? I don't know. I don't know if there will ever be another protracted war or anything like Iraq or Afghanistan last that long. I think the next thing is it's going to happen. It'll happen pretty quick. It'll either be that, or we'll be sending our special operators in, and those units I've got a lot of faith in. I'm talking about like the SEALs, MARSAC, the Delta Rangers, and so forth. Air Force Special Ops guys. And that's probably what's going to happen in Israel, is we're probably going to send some of them in to look for hostages, or we may need to have them on the northern border if Hezbollah decides to make an incursion into Jerusalem. I don't know if they're going to do that. Here's another thing I don't understand. I can't find anybody that can give me that talks about this. Is Hezbollah supposedly has a army of more than 100,000 men, and they're in Lebanon, but they're not part of the Lebanon government or the Lebanon Defense Force or anything like that. So does Lebanon allow, they have their own military. Do they allow to have another military just kind of based or housed or quartered in their southern in the southern part of their country? This doesn't make any sense to me at all, other than the fact that I guess Iran is paying for everything, so everybody just kind of goes along with whatever Iran will do for them.
Absolutely. Sorry, forgive me. I'm eating Oreos right now.
That's your book?
Branding, always branding.
No, I'm not. It just happened to be Oreos. So yeah, Mr. Buckley, like you said, well, how can all these things be in these other countries? I agree, but I know we have a lot of things. We got bases where we don't know we have bases. And they have bases where we don't know. We have bases that are like close to each other, to the enemy. They get along, but who knows?
So let me ask a question in general. In all that's going on across the world stage, who do you think is jockeying for?
Oh, I already know.
Who do you think is jockeying for world leadership control? Who is really setting themselves up not to be the czar, but to be the peace leader? Who do you see doing that? Someone that would lead the world into peace from this. You probably don't know where I'm going.
I don't necessarily know. I don't necessarily know who would be the peace leader, but I know that Xi Jinping and the People's Republic of China has made some very serious inroads towards becoming the global superpower through their Belt and Road Initiative, which is fundamentally just a really high-class loan sharking operation. I mean, it's like The Sopranos. They go in, they do this construction. Most of the times, I'm sure it's going to be subpar because there are bribes that are being given out and handed out, and everybody's getting rich. And these people in these third world countries, they're on the hook. They're on the hook to Communist China for all this money. And Communist China is like Tony Soprano. Well, we had a bad year. Screw you. Give me my money. Well, we had this epidemic. Screw you. Give me my money.
Right.
And that's what they're going to do. And if they don't get their money, they're going to take it out in some other form of equity, in property, in real estate, in government positions, in positions that would affect the policies of these nations.
Like
doing it
the
here in
White House.
academia. Yeah, the White House would be a great example. Yeah. Guys, if you haven't read Laptop from Hell, if you haven't read Secret Empires, if you haven't read Caught Red-Handed, and I don't mean just us here, I'm talking about everybody out there, go find it and look into this stuff. Every bit of it's open source. The level of corruption is stupefying as to what's going on here. But back to your question, sir, I think that the one group that is working harder than anybody to establish global hegemony, not only in the Pacific, but just throughout the world, has to be the Communist Chinese.
Ding, ding, ding.
I'm dry. I got to get a drink.
Hey, Darren, I have to say this. I do know if I was a conspiracy theorist, I would say this because I know the fact is they've always wanted to have Iran, topple Iran. That's one of the goals of the New World Order or the globalists. So that's why you see Lindsey Graham, Flimsy Graham, and who used to be the South Carolina governor, what's her name? Nikki Haley. They call her,
Yeah.
they have a name for it. So they are pushing. Watch how they get out front. And they're like, we got to go after Iran. We got to go after Iran. That's their goal. Those people want the war with Iran to take over. They couldn't do it under Trump. That was their goal. They could never get it done. So that's smaller level, Darren. At a smaller level that you were talking about, the ultimate leaders. That's at the level. This has always been in the cards since probably the 60s or 70s. They want Iran. So I don't know how that's going to work out because look, that's what they're doing. Why are we over there with all these aircraft and these ships? It's not to fight Hamas. Just think about it.
No, that's probably a 3 to 4 day operation. If they're going to unleash that naval task force there with USS Ford, which is a big damn carrier. I mean, it's a big one. And all the destroyer and the escort vessels that in a carrier group, that's a lot. That's a lot of firepower. That would be like a 3 or 4 day operation. If they were sincere about going into Gaza and eliminating this threat, you combine that type of ordinance with Israeli forces on the ground, it's a parking lot.
Okay.
At the end of the day, it's a parking lot.
I totally exactly. But Bill, I got to ask you this. I heard today the leaders of Hamas are not even there.
No, they're all in Beirut at a conference, and they've actually got the press plan to document or record their conference. So they're and supposedly the leader of Hamas was in Qatar or Qatar or whatever however you pronounce it, and then the hotel over there said the 5-star hotel, I forget which one it was, said he ain't staying here because they're afraid that maybe they're going to get bombed in the hotel. So anyway, they're all in Beirut now. And maybe we ought to find a way just to take these guys out and kind of see, whether that cools things off or slows things down a little bit.
And Bill, as you know, as your former job, they know where they are.
Yeah. Oh,
They tracked them there the whole way.
hey, you know, and I'm sure that we know where the mullahs are in Tehran
Yeah.
as well. You know,
Right.
maybe we gotta drop a few, bunker busters over there on them and quiet that down a little bit. We didn't have any trouble taking out that Solomon or Suleiman or whatever his name
Yes,
was.
right. Soleimani.
Hey, how about
Yeah.
take those guys out? You know, but the thing is, we're in a situation now where our leadership, if you want to call it that,
You know,
is more
it's happening here,
interested in
dude.
how we look and the collateral damage and everything. If we were in World War II right now with this group in charge, well, you know, and it was the 1940s, we'd still be in World War II. Either that or we'd have already lost because we wouldn't have been able to bomb Hiroshima or Nagasaki. We wouldn't have been able to bomb Berlin. We wouldn't have been able to fight anybody because we might have killed somebody. And our rules of engagement would have been: you can't shoot any Japanese on Iwo Jima until you get permission from up high that they're really a target of opportunity. So, you know, this whole thing of what we've evolved to now is crazy. And here's the thing: why do we even pay attention to the Geneva
That's right.
Convention?
Yep.
Hamas isn't. None of the Islamists care about it. They're not signed on to it. They're not in agreement with it. But we've become too nice because we become too weak, and we gotta save everybody. Look what's happening in our country today. You know, we've got everybody is like a protected entity or something like that.
Right.
You know, we got to make sure that anything that happens, we got to write new laws and have new regulations and everything to protect somebody from from something. You know, kind of started with the bottle caps. You know, back years ago, you know, you used to be able to open up a bottle cap and you could get your aspirin or whatever it was out of there. Now you need a packaging engineer, you know, to get a
Yeah,
Yeah.
or some kind of special electric tool.
Yes. James, so what are your thoughts on the fact that maybe if Iran is involved because they're pushing that narrative, what do you think is going to happen? This is going to be WW3 because I think at this point China is open, Russia is open, right? They both can take advantage of it. We can't fight, 2 or 3 wars. There's no way.
Well, China is going to think of anybody. Well, let's just expand that to whoever is our enemy, whoever wishes us ill can take advantage of all this. And there's lots of groups. You got the cartels down at the border, every Muslim terrorist organization on the face of the planet. You've got the Russia and her satellites. You've got China and her satellites. There are a lot of people that are literally rubbing their hands with glee and have been since Joe Biden took his hand off the Bible. I don't know how he didn't get burned, but that's another story.
Second question for both of you. That's a very good statement there. So we defend Israel. I don't have a problem with that. We defend all these other countries, Philippines, and we're in Guam, we're everywhere. Taiwan. We give them aircraft and everything. Are they coming to defend us when things hit the fan? That's the
Bill,
question.
I know you remember this guy. He was a Canadian. His name was Gordon Scott. And about 1972, 73, when America was at one of its lowest points with Watergate and Nixon fatigue, he did a 45 RPM record called The Americans. Do you remember that? And he talked about all the great things that America had done. And you touched on that, Kevin. Natural disasters occur in this country. Is India sending food? Is China sending? No, they don't do anything like that. Now, if there was a disaster in India, where would the United States be? They would be ground zero with supplies, with help. Something like that happens in the United States. Hell, not even Great Britain or our more serious allies in Europe do anything to help us. And it's
That applies.
It's not
yes to
surprising.
NATO
They
as
never
well. I
have.
just want to drop that in there.
Yeah, same thing with NATO. Exactly. They don't do anything. And Americans have sore backs from carrying all this. And it's time
Yes.
that we look. It's time that we look inside our borders. We've got a lot of healing and rehabbing to do here instead of spreading this money, these billions and billions of dollars that they're laundering through Ukraine, that they're
You
giving.
know it.
Any dollar that goes to Hamas for humanitarian aid is going to be used for bullets. Don't and change my mind. You can't. Any dollar that's given to any country, any Islamic country that has terrorist factions operating openly within their borders, that money's not going to humanitarian aid. That money's going to kill
Right.
Jews and Americans and Europeans.
Well, James, some of that money's going to champagne and caviar for the dictators.
True.
So
The high
that's
living,
humani-
yes.
That's the type of humanitarian aid, I guess.
Yeah.
Have mercy.
I mean, how can you justify it?
True.
Yes, the Congress and the Senate. So we know we had this FTX show in the past, right? So we know the money was going from FTX, going through FTX, going over to Ukraine, and then coming back to some of our elite congressmen and senators. That's why the case dropped. That's why they dropped it completely, because they were all involved in it. So yeah, so corruption all the way
And
around.
there are trillions at stake, particularly in Ukraine, and I'm sure there are other places that we're not even aware of yet that are going to pop up as
Yes.
all of a sudden hot spots. And the reason it's going to be is because there's money moving through there. And it's like you said, it's a circuitous route. Sam Bankman-Fried, or whatever
Yes.
that guy's name is, he funnels that money through Ukraine. It gets washed and laundered, and it comes back here to the United States in kickbacks to the politicians who voted to send this money to Ukraine to start out with.
And by the way, both of you guys, you saw in the news the speaker couldn't be elected unless he supported more money to Ukraine. How greedy do you have to be? I don't get that. That was a stipulation. I don't know if this new guy has done it yet. He seems to be a hardliner, Mr. Johnson. I don't know. I've read good things about him, but anybody can be bought.
Well, we heard all these good things and got all giddy about Kevin McCarthy. And look
Yeah.
how quickly he was disposed of. Now, I'm not exactly sure. There are people that talk about what Matt Gaetz did there.
Yeah.
And I've heard a lot of critical. I've heard a lot of positive things. The one thing that I walked away with, we all know Jim Jordan. And we know what
Yes.
kind of job he was probably going to be able to do. But these guys have a lot of money to protect. And Orrin Hatch once said a long time ago, it was impossible to go to Washington, D.C. and return an honest man. Harry Truman said, you can't be honest in politics and get rich. It's impossible.
Absolutely.
If we look at what's going on, Jim Jordan was fired. How many of you guys remember Trey Gowdy? How many of you let your hearts go pitter patter over? This is our guy. We love him. It's going to be boom. Next thing you know, he's got a fat job on Fox News. And
I
what
never
did he
trusted
accomplish?
him.
Well, and
Zero.
besides, it's I can't remember who said it, but whoever they were prescient when they said that Washington, D.C. politics is show business for ugly people. And you look at all these YouTube videos that we see where Matt Gaetz is trashing somebody, or John Kennedy from Mississippi, who I really like a lot.
Right.
He makes
I like
these
him
guys
too.
look like, okay, you've got these guys that are making these great film clips, and it makes for really good, solid political drama.
Yes.
And
Kabuki theater.
so much of this is theater. So much of this is just political theater. And then they take these videos and they send them to their packs and their super packs and their super duper packs and their six packs, and they raise money.
Right.
And yeah, they get a lot of money because that's our guy. He's wearing them out. We'll send him $25. He's doing a good job. I'm moved to do this. And then nothing ever happens.
Nothing. Oh my
How many of
God.
these people have
Yes.
seen beat up in these years?
Yeah.
Alexander Mayorkas, Alejandro Mayorkas. Okay, he shouldn't only been impeached. He should have been run out of town on a rail and
Yes.
tarred and feathered. But nothing happens to these guys. We get these great video clips of them being put in their place and our guys looking like heroes.
Yeah.
And we're, yeah. But then in the end, sound and
Nothing.
fury, signifying nothing.
Nada.
Yeah.
No, I totally, it's very disappointing. I don't care what you say. What are you going to do?
Yeah.
So,
And the
you're gonna
Democrats
do
do
it.
the same thing. But I guess you all
Yeah.
get a lot of the same emails I get. You'll get an email and it'll say, shocking news, Pelosi did this, or, or Hakeem Jeffers did this. We need to stop them now, send money, I'm kind of shortening it up a little bit, but that's basically what the message is, we need to stop them, send us money. And the banking industrial complex is loving all this because, hey, now they got interest rates up to 30%. We've got credit card debt is exceeding $1 trillion. So there's a lot of people are paying off credit card interest every month. They're probably not paying off any principal because that's what people are living on today with the high costs of gasoline and food and everything. People don't have any money left over. So how do you live? You put it on your credit card, and the credit card gets a little bit bigger. And so then you get the credit limit raised. And the banking industrial complex is more than happy to do all this because, boy, they got the interest rates raised up. And now we got 8% interest on housing, on mortgages. Everybody is happy. And now the military industrial complex is gleefully going to make all kinds of new ammunition and weapons, and they're going to restock everything. And who's going to pay for it? Us suckers.
So before you go any further, Darren, everybody, let me give you a background on the Israeli Air Force. They've had better planes than we have for a long time. I don't know if they have the modern ones, but their F-16s were like right off the factory, brand new. The newest versions, they have things on their planes that we don't have because they use them all the time. They don't need us over there. We've worked with Israelis and things like that before, and they're the most innovative people in Air Force we've ever seen. Like just on the F4, they put the mirrors in the cockpit. Nobody else did. They did it in 2 weeks. 2 weeks.
Yeah.
They had stuff that
they're
we
still
wanted.
using that for great effect.
Yes. They put stuff in their planes we didn't have. We're like, wow, that's
And
pretty
that
awesome.
plane's what? It's from the late 1950s.
1970s.
Yeah, the rear view
1972, I
mirror was
believe.
such a simple thing.
The
And,
F4, yeah.
and look at, they're still using them, and they're still using them with great effect. Yeah,
Yeah, so we're not
it's a
talking
great
about
airplane,
somebody.
by the way.
They
I love
have
that
better. Yeah, they have better
thing.
planes.
That was one of the
than,
blue.
Yes, I remember that. I was a kid. Yeah, I remember the 16s they have in Israel are better than all the ones they have in NATO. So they're advanced. They have stuff on it that we don't have. I walked to the factory. I went to the factory a long time ago, and there are the Israel ones, and they were like covered up and everything. You couldn't see what they were doing. So obviously, we don't even know. I don't even know what their capabilities are. But the point is, they are armed to the teeth. They got the Iron Dome. How did the Iron Dome fail? Why are we over there? What are we going after? I think that's the whole theme of what everybody's thinking right now. Why are we there? Darren, your thoughts?
Well, it's always about, in the Middle East, it's always about fuel. It's always about oil. Bottom line is that's why we're there. One of the reasons we're there, and will continue to be. and I believe it will become a central part of the focus if Israel begins to attack and this becomes a call or a jihad, a reason for a jihad for every
Right,
Muslim to take up arms and head to take out Israel, and that becomes a scenario that just plays out for a larger world world order setup for someone to set themselves up to, hey, I got the answer for peace, and someone then becomes the broker, if I can call it that, for how the world then lives. It's a strange scenario, but it plays out in a way in my mind that this could set Israel up for the rest of the world to really come against it, especially if it's seen as, even though they want to portray it as we're attacking terrorists. I don't care how you present it to anybody that is pro-Islam. They're going to see it as an attack on Islam, and that's just going to generate that kind of philosophy, that ideological philosophy of, this is an attack on Islam, not just an attack on terrorists. That's how I can see it playing its way out. But again, it's if we continue to playing games instead of making demands, and if leadership doesn't, if the greatest word that the leadership can come up with is don't. What are we saying?
Oh my
What
God.
does that mean? Don't what? Don't what? Yeah, why? Well, why?
And this time I mean it.
Oh yeah.
Oh my God, that's crazy. That's crazy. So Darren, despite we having more oil than everybody else does, I mean, we know we have oil. Why? The other thing is, that's the other thing. We aren't using our reserves. We already used our reserves. We're not using what we have in the ground because it's an evil thing. It's a natural thing. It's renewable. So we're going over to the Middle East to get oil, and this is probably another strategic move. Mr. Buckler, what are your thoughts?
Well, yeah, we're now energy dependent on Venezuela and OPEC and the Middle East, and I think Russia's really doing very well on this too, because since we can't drill or provide natural gas, they're making a ton of money out of this. And Iran is really doing well because they're selling their oil to China. China's got the bucks, or at least they make make the yen or whatever the yuans or whatever their currency is now.
Right.
So anyway, as long as that pipeline keeps going, the oil goes to China. China sends the funds, the revenues to Iran, and Iran can pay off and buy out everybody in the Middle East, to finance all these, Hamas, Hezbollah, the Houthis in Yemen, and who knows who all, Syria. I don't see where there's any end to it. And Darren was saying something that really kind of struck me is every time something happens, all of a sudden we've got thousands and thousands of protesters or really rioters or whatever they are out in the streets, free Gaza, free the Palestinians, kill the Jews, et cetera, et cetera. And then, our media, is so complicit in this, in that, for example, the parking lot bomb that they said hospital had, there was 500 killed in the hospital. As soon as they said 500, I'm thinking, how the hell do you know it's 500? I mean, that sounds like a round number, Who would have known that immediately, So something is wrong right there. And all of a sudden now there's rage against Israel around the world, and they're still, and even though it's been retracted, the people who are on the street protesting, they still believe that Israel bombed a hospital and killed 500 poor Arab children.
So, Mr. Randy Purim is on. Sir, so good to see you here. And last time you were on my show, you're running for Alaska governor. I'm not governor, but
U.S. House.
Congress?
Yeah.
U.S.
U.S. House. Yep.
So tell us about your background real quick.
So thanks for having me on, and hello to all you other gentlemen. I'm Randy Purim, retired Army, 22 years of service. Ran for the U.S. House this last cycle out of Alaska. I'm currently now relocated since then to Texas, and I host a podcast on TECN.TV, the Permanent Associate Show, and I also run a political consulting firm. So happy to be here, and glad to be able to join the conversation tonight with you guys.
Well, thank you for your service, and it's certainly good to meet you. And the rest of us are all guests. This is all Kevin's doing, Joe. He's our organizer, our leader.
Yes, absolutely. Yes, Kevin's a great guy. I love Kevin and what he's doing out there for the country. So we need more like him.
So, Mr. Purim, you're a former Army guy. You know all this stuff. You actually specialize in Sea Bernie.
Mm-hmm.
So this is like on the ground. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that. It's all chemical warfare stuff. So that's going to be in play. So what are your thoughts on this overall, on this attack, this war we're going through?
Well, we got kind of like look at the the history here a little bit. History teaches us a lot. And with what's going on with Iran, they're a little salty, and by the Biden administration getting back into the Iran nuclear deal, that was step number one as a mistake. And so they're feeling like, okay, we're now able to bolster up, our defenses or our offenses actually. And they're funneling money over to Hamas and over to Hezbollah. And they're looking to wipe out what the Trump administration has implemented as the stability mechanism in the Middle East with the Abraham Accord agreement. So with all of that going on, there's a lot of history, in between that. And so the stability between Israel being a strong Christian background nation amidst right in the middle, in the heart of, Muslim Arab nations, that's already, a kinder, ready to, just a powder keg ready to explode. So that with this being where we are right now, I see in terms of, I want to say so much chemical warfare. There may be a little bit of that at play, but I don't think they're smart enough to employ that, because that would end up being really, really bad. And then we also forget that Israel is a nuclear power. That is why they're one of our strongest allies in the Middle East, is that because Israel has nuclear capabilities. Iran is trying to get nuclear capabilities. So we have to look at, if there's chemical play that comes into this conflict, you can expect Israel is going to respond with probably nuclear destruction on both Iran and the Hamas crew in the Gaza Strip. Tactical nukes, small, easy to deploy, minimal damage, and it'd be a message. But I hope we don't get to that. I think it's just going to be just ground forces go in and wipe them out as best as they can and keep moving. Because at the end of the day, you're fighting an ideology, so you really can't exterminate that. And with Hamas being in the Gaza Strip, embedded in Jerusalem, in the
Right.
in that area, it's going to be hard to really, exterminate them per se with their tunnel systems and what have you. It's going to be hard. And then now they're looking at a two-front war. They got to look at going against Hezbollah in Lebanon there. So we got to be careful with this. But then you have Syria playing along as well. So the United States is getting dragged into this because Iran and Syria are attacking U.S. troops. So we're looking
Yeah,
at,
I've heard that.
we're looking at a front to a possible World War III, because we can't forget about what's going on with Ukraine and Russia, China, looking to go into Taiwan. This is the, these are all the ingredients necessary for a global war going on.
I totally agree. Totally. I could see that happening. Oh, there's so many players that aren't even in yet.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So that's where we at right now. We got a new Speaker of the House, so maybe Speaker Johnson will corral the cats in the Congress there and come up with a solution and a response that will kind of help the Biden administration guide what needs to be done, because at the end of the day, Congress is the power of the purse. So any more funding that's going to Ukraine or to Israel will have to come through the House and will have to come across his desk, and that needs to be a measured approach as well.
So, what do you think about the new Congressman Johnson, the Speaker? What are your thoughts? I know he's a hardliner, which is a good thing. Yeah.
Yes.
Good.
I love Johnson. I love Mike Johnson. He like you said, he's a hardliner. He doesn't play any games. He gets straight to the facts, straight to the point. I was personally pulling for what's his name, Byron Donalds, to get it for so many reasons, so many obvious reasons. But but Mike Johnson would have been was a great choice as well. Jim Jordan, I was kind of on the fence with that one. I like Jim Jordan as well, but those were my top three. If it had been any one of them, I would have been happy with it.
So Jordan lives not that far from here in Ohio. He's a little north of us.
Okay.
I know people that know him. He's a good guy, down to earth guy, but yeah, he's like Trey Gowdy, where he talks a lot but he doesn't do anything. So, you guys agree?
I like Trey Gowdy also. Trey Gowdy,
yes.
I like him. Yeah.
Apparently, they don't have power in Congress, isn't that right, Bill?
Yeah. Actually, I've seen a lot of Mike Johnson. He's given a lot of interviews over the past couple of years. So I don't see where he's that big of a secret to anybody. They're talking like, he's completely unknown. By the way, the congressman next door to mine is Byron Donalds. So, we know him pretty well. We really like him. And we had Kevin Stubbe, who I really like, but now redistricting moved him over, and we've got Scott Franklin, who's a Naval Academy guy, naval aviator, fighter pilot. So, boy, in this part of Central Florida where I am, we got the best of the best. Let me tell you, we're represented with some good people, but boy, there's some of them in the Congress that I really got some questions about.
So, Randy, Mr. Muckler is he's a war veteran, Marine. He was the backseater. And what aircraft, sir?
What F9F ATs, Grumman's, Cougar.
Okay. Thank you for your service.
This is back in the 50s and 60s. So, I was in the service before most of you guys were even born.
That was before my parents were born. Thank you for your service.
Oh, thank you.
Bill is 88. You're 88 years old, right?
88, yeah.
Yes.
Awesome. I was fortunate. My dad sent me off to college, so I became a college boy, and somehow I managed to graduate. And I was in the process of getting drafted, and the Marine Corps recruited me and gave me an opportunity to go to officers candidate course in Quantico.
Mhm.
And so I escaped the draft that way. Actually, the first week I was in an officer's boot camp, I got drafted. But
Wow.
the DI took care of that. I never heard another word from him. Hey
Yeah.
guys, I've got an 8 o'clock appointment, a previous engagement. I'm going to have to go, but gosh, it's been great. Kevin, thanks
Absolutely.
for inviting me on and meeting everybody and everything. It's really, really great. It was a pleasure. Thank
Oh,
you.
you're
so much.
welcome. You're a great guest, and hopefully, yeah, you have your own show. What I didn't know you had your show, Randy. So that's awesome.
Yeah.
So,
No.
all right, sir. Nice having you on.
Okay.
I'll-
Yeah,
we'll see you later.
absolutely.
Take care, everyone.
Yeah. Take care.
All
Be
right.
safe. God bless.
So
Yes.
we're gonna replace
You know,
him with
just
somebody
interesting.
else.
Interestingly, I was just in Washington D.C. last week. I just got back this week from Washington. I was there
Yeah.
for a whole week and just went down to the Marine Memorial and took pictures in front of the Iwo Jima statue
Oh, yeah.
there. So
Yeah.
that was pretty cool to talk to somebody that is part of that. It's awesome.
Yeah. So Darren, who's also on, is he still there? He's not there. So if you don't know James Bostic, he'd be a great guest on your show. You'd be a great guest on his show. Vice versa.
Absolutely.
James is he's part of
Yeah.
our radio network, PNR. So he would love to have you on there to talk about, because I want to know about the campaign. Really, I'd like to hear that, because I know the mechanics behind it and the politics leading up to it. And I've interviewed people running for governor of California, and it's not fair. It's not. I mean, they
Yeah.
totally try to drum you out, and that's unfortunate.
Yeah.
Two people from California. I mean, the same story. You've got to pay this money. You need this many votes. No, you need that. You need double the votes. You need this. This is what they did to what's his name running for president. What's his name? I can't remember now.
Larry Elder.
Yes, Larry Elder. They played
Yep.
the game on him, so
Yeah.
they don't want. He can't get in.
Yeah, they really messed him up.
Yeah. Yeah. It's dirty. It's a dirty game.
He's probably one
and-
of the smarter guys there.
Yeah, he is.
Yes.
He's very intelligent. I would say he's probably the smartest guy in the room. So it's
I would
crazy.
go with
Politics is crazy,
I-
and I was like I said, I was in DC last week, and I was actually in a campaign leadership course to learn how to manage campaigns and
All right.
everything from the. Although I ran for Congress myself, there's still, like, as a candidate, there's some things that you just don't know. You just kind of like let that
Yes.
stuff, let the managers and the
Yes.
consultants handle all that stuff. And you just out
Right.
there just smiling and shaking and kissing babies. So, but it's interesting to learn the intricacies as to what goes on behind the scenes with the parties and with those what we call the establishment, and
Yes.
how they get in the way of things and actually take the vote away from the people. They don't let the people decide. That's just a formality. But the game is already rigged. We already know going into this who's going to likely win this. So it's something that the American people need to get more involved in the political process from start to finish, and say enough is enough of the establishment business, and let us decide who's going to be our elected leaders, and that's where we need to be at.
Absolutely. And Darren,
Well,
who's above
that's
you.
a great point. That's a great point in involvement. But the challenge is it's becoming big business to be in politics.
It is, yeah.
And
Yeah.
that what frustrates me is that it's becoming a tool to get rich.
Mhm.
And there's all kinds of insider trading going on that's not being called out, that's not being considered a crime. You got these senators and representatives that are becoming multi-billionaires.
Mhm.
Yes.
Out of what? What business are they running that's doing that?
Yeah.
It's called politics. And it's absolutely frustrating to see.
It's good work if you can get it.
That's right,
American
James.
ability to have the impact that was designed by the founding fathers to control the business. It was not designed to be a full-time job to be paid like
Yeah.
they're being paid.
You know, you're absolutely right. You know, you wonder, you know, the president makes 400,000 a year. A member of Congress and Senate, you know, they make roughly 275, 300,000 a year doing this job. And by the time they leave office, whether it's 2 years or 6 years, if they're a one termer, you know, they're walking out the door with, you know, 1.5, you know, to $5 million net worth. And it's like, that math doesn't add up.
No.
You know, it's like,
No.
how is that even possible? But okay, we're just going to turn a blind eye and just keep it moving. And that's what the American people has been doing, instead of holding them accountable and saying, no, you're not going to.
How do you hold them accountable outside of a vote that's already controlled?
Well, there's, you know, recall elections. There's, you know, there is a law. You know, you make law enforcement hold them accountable, and by making law enforcement hold them accountable, you get rid of law enforcement and get those people in there that's going to do the job, because they're
Capitol Police, the Capitol
yeah.
Police.
You know, all the way down the chain. You know, it's tough, but it can be done. You know, we see.
I'm
we see
sorry to be facetious on that.
See, Darren works for the government, so just like, so, you know, we have security clearances, like you had one.
Yep.
And if we did one little thing like that, they wouldn't notice, like,
Gone.
sudden wealth,
Goodbye.
and then we'd be
You're out
gone.
of here.
But by that time, you're already set up, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah. No, I understand. I know it's hard. It is hard. You know, don't get me wrong. But you know, once we, you know, Thomas Jefferson said, you know, the heart of a democracy is the knowledge of the people. And even in the Bible, you know, Jesus said, you know, my people shall perish for a lack of knowledge. You know, so once we get, you know, once the people get involved and learn what the game is, then you can change the game. But right now, we don't know the game, so we can't change it.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Well, sir, if you have to go, you can leave now, or
I'll
And
jump out of here. Hey, I appreciate it.
Are you there? Can we hear you? Okay. All right.
I will
Take
get
it
your
easy, guys.
information from Kevin, and I'm looking forward to having you come on the program.
Yes, absolutely. I look forward to it. Thank you. Yeah, take it
Thank
easy,
you,
guys.
sir.
Yep.
Thank you.
God bless you.
You too. So, yeah, fascinating.
Let me ask you
Randy
guys
is
this.
Amazing. Yeah.
Hold on. Let me ask you this.
Sure.
I wrestle with this on a regular basis, and I've never come to a solid conclusion on it. And here's the thing. Term limits. I'm sure if we asked any schmo out there on the street about term limits, they would look at you and they would say, yeah, I believe in it, because there's no good positive stories about American politicians, American federal government. There's just not. Even with all the good guys we got out there, you never hear about it on the news. And I think about term limits, and I think, well, man, that would be great if we could make that a law. What politician in his right mind is going to vote for term limits?
None.
Exactly.
No.
Exactly.
Because it's the
That was one of my biggest. Exactly. So they're not going to do it. So my question is, and I have these guys. Hey, there's Doug. I could never run for political office now because of my criminal record. They don't want you. You can work on that once you get in, but they don't want you to have one going in because it's kind of unfair to the other guys, if you know what I mean. But the thing of it is, and I'm okay. Term limits. It's never going to happen. They're never going to pass it into a law. It's a pipe dream. It's a great idea. It sounds awesome, and we all love it, but it's never going to happen. Here's the question. We voted their asses in. What precludes us from voting their asses right back out? But it never happens. We rely on some dream, something that's never going to come to fruition. I mean, it's just not going to happen. We are the cavalry. If anybody's going to save us, it's going to be us. And I don't know how that happens, but I do know that if we can stick to it, all politics is local. It's all local.
Right.
Look at who you're putting on your city councils, on your county commissions, on your boards of education. Look who they hang out with. Look where they came from. And then move
Right.
up into your state houses of legislature. It's got to be an active process. It's the voter interest level in this has got to be, the commitment level's got to be to the extreme. Okay, you give them a cycle, and it's going to take, over time, it's going to work. But if they don't do what you sent them to Washington to do, and you don't buy their bullshit excuses, find another guy. There's a lot of talented people out here. Hell, 66% of the people here on this show are killing it.
Yes.
So, I mean, there are good people out there, not me, but there are good people out there, but they don't want to go through the long-term, deep proctological exam. Yeah.
Yes.
But if we have a chance, if we stand a chance at all, we're going to have to be more discriminating. We're going to have to do a better job of vetting. We're going to have to do a better job of disseminating information on issues. We got to see where these guys are. And like I said, if they can't get it done, whether they don't want to do it or whether they're prevented from doing it once they get in Washington, doesn't matter. If it's not getting done, they got to go. Yeah, I'm sure he's a great guy. I'm sure he's, we had a lot of fun with him at the picnic, but if he can't get what we want done, he doesn't need to be there.
Exactly. Yeah, I agree.
The challenge
theft.
The challenge with that is that we've almost established new political machines in the new era that is driven by media, popularity, social media, and the things that don't make you think about truth and accountability. And really, we've turned we've allowed it, but we've turned politics into this political machine and game that the media tries to manage and the social media is trying to manage. And then with this concept of being able to vote and not being an American citizen and all kinds of garbage that's being pushed through and ballot stuffing, that those kind of things are driving a different political machine that you would have seen back in Tammany Hall or something in New York.
Yeah.
But now it's driven by a political machine out of whatever the headquarters is for the Democrats or even the Republicans.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
And so they drive this popularity vote into our politics, and not hey, let's think about that. Let's think about what he really thinks. Let's see what his actions were in the last 20 years to determine if he's really following along with the right mindset to impart to our political process the means to do the right thing and get the right thing done. Not what's politically best for me so I can get reelected, but what is right for the American people. And that has become the few and far between mindset.
Absolutely, because it's about greed.
Yeah, I agree.
Money, you can buy people.
Exactly. And the thing is, again, it goes back to a disseminating and informed electorate. That's the only way we win this, and that means that we got to go into the weeds. We have to try harder, all of us, to understand American politics, and we all need to know the Constitution. I mean, all those things.
Yeah.
That's the only way. But like I said, it is an informed and disseminating electorate that's going to solve this problem. We don't have that,
No,
and we haven't had it in a long time.
no.
And I don't know what we have to do to rekindle that. But again, it goes back to what I was saying at the beginning. That's if we win this, those are the only ways in which we can.
I think there's so many layers of trash.
Doesn't mean
from
that
here.
we can't use the same tactics. We sure can.
Right.
Yeah.
So we got in this world,
Yeah.
everything is done for you. Like they peel the eggs for you. They peel the potatoes. They sell them to you. Everything's convenience. And you got the internet and you got all these things that you can order everything all day long. Well, somewhere between not having that and having that changed everything. And it's the generations are lazier now. And, if you're going to give them something free, they're going to take it. That's the difference. They're not going to work for it because they're not. It's the same thing. I mean, we see people like that, even in the military today. They're just taking stuff. It's not like, it's just different now. Things are different.
Well, the other thing, you talk about an informed electorate, but we have dummied down the American education system to the point where we got kids going into 5th grade that can't do 1 + 1, and they're not able to read, and then in our higher education institutions, they're infiltrated with this leftist mindset that wants to drive a woke ideology to drive, our freedoms out of our country. It's asinine how it turns out. But, you have this younger generation growing into the, not just progressive, but almost socialistic mindset that I want everything free and I don't want to have to pay for anything. And you owe it to me, by the way.
Right.
Oh, it's not almost socialistic. It's there. And the college education, really the college education that we got, I'm 61. So, we were on the last, and I went to a small community college, one size fits all bachelor's degree. But even with that, I'm trying to remember, because I went back later in life and I have a comparison of when I was in my 20s as opposed to when I was in my late 40s. And the left-wing kook population, the left-wing kook demographic in colleges had exploded exponentially.
Yes.
When I went to my little community college, my dad was a biology and Western civilization professor. It was just a small 2-year school. And the people who were there you had a little bit of the hippies starting to move in. Okay, this is like in late 70s, early 80s. So the hippies have had to find jobs, and they did it in academics. And so they go in there and they start infecting everything. And from there, it just got worse. And like I said, when I went back and picked up a few more hours in my late 40s, I was like, you know what? I'm glad that I would not want to be in those classes in my 20s. And I looked at these poor kids who didn't know anything. They didn't know anything. They looked at these left-wing kooks like they were actually telling them the truth. And that was one of the most maddening things that I had to deal with in my middle-aged college career. And man, it just resonated negative with me. And so I would say stuff. I was that cranky old dude even then who would, no, that's not right.
Yes.
I remember what happened there. And what you're saying,
Kevin, you did that too.
And it did.
I did that too.
I got through.
Yes.
I kept my mouth shut.
Listen, Jay.
No.
Yes, James. When I went to college, I graduated in 2017. Okay, so I was a troublemaker. Because when they said something wrong, I'd say, no, that's not true, because you have to. And the kids are like, so the professor's like, well, how do you know that? Because one was like Antioch is in, it's from a church, First Church is in Syria. I said, no, it's not. It's in Turkey. How do you know? Because I've been there 6 times. So you got to fight.
I was
The other
there,
thing
you
was,
idiot.
there's the same thing with, there's some other location, Philippines. They said Filipinos, they speak Spanish today because they're conquered. I said, they don't. How do you know? I lived there for 3 years. They speak Tagalog. Get your stuff together, because this is the problem I have with, and they'll take all these, usually it's the city kids that fall for this stuff, like the hippie professors. The country kids
Right.
usually don't. The rural kids are kind of immune from it because their background is really strong with the parents and the community and everything. You rarely saw them go with it. That's what it was. And to top that off, when I got recruits for my section, the country kids were the best because they already did mechanical stuff. They followed instructions. The city kids were the worst. And this is recent.
They were self-reliant. They had a certain level of self-reliance.
Exactly.
But wasn't it maddening? I mean, really, wasn't it maddening when you go in there and you know what I'm talking about? These kids would look at those guys like they were actually telling them the truth.
Yes,
they believed it. And it was just tough on me. It just really was. It was tough on me. I was like you. And I had that. I've been a news geek since I saw Robert F.
Yeah, you're very good.
And and I listened to that, so it was maddening to me. It just really
So James, here's okay. When I first went to Ohio State, okay, for 3.5 years.
All right.
My heroes were the older people.
State, right?
Yeah, it wasn't the when I started. It was just Ohio State. Believe it or not. So anyway, I'm in class. We had these older people that didn't care. They were my heroes because they were looking out for us, right? And they would talk back to professors. That's not true. That's not right. You shouldn't be doing this to the students. But they would say, so I did that when I was old. So I had nothing to lose. So one day they said, there's some kind of class we were talking about abortion. So professors like this is a stats class. Okay. This makes no sense. So it's a social issue. So we had to talk about that. So somebody said, abortion is a right, and right to life should not be the standard, right to life. So then I said, abortion is a right to kill, and they had a cow. That's what you're doing. So Professor says, so what do you think about all that? What do you think the kids think about you? I said, I was in the military for 30 years. I don't care what they think. Why would I care?
I'm going to go home and sleep on my belly so they can kiss my butt in my dreams.
But the Muslim students were right there with me. They drew this picture of the woman's belly and somebody with a knife. That was their project in the middle of killing the baby, because they didn't want that either. So you got cultural problems, you got dumbing down, you got kids being taught this is normal, and you got the worst thing right now is the Department of Education for a lot of these schools. And I think you saw that. I don't know if you saw that at Rock the Red. I don't know if they showed that there. And they have pornography.
Yeah, they did. Instructions. You and I were there, yeah.
Yeah, right. That's what they have these days, and the parents don't know. But thanks to the pandemic, people are actually able to see what the kids are watching. So we got to get this out, and so they're holding on straight. And then a friend of mine asked me, he said, "Why are you? Florida's against Black history." I said, "That's not what this is. This is CRT. This is critical race theory. They're not against Black history. They keep twisting it to where how it is. They're making it. They're biasing everything for evil purposes." Right? That's what it's for. It's to dumb down and to weaken our society. That's what it's all about.
Yeah. That's what abortion was all about.
And in any interest
of society.
Say that again.
I said that was one of the key reasons for abortions, was to weaken society and to a point of destroying the modern home.
And
destroying.
And there's also the issue of and there's also the issue of Black genocide and eugenics.
Mhm.
And that's all Margaret
That's
Sanger
where I
was
was
about,
going with
man.
it.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's all she was
Oh,
about, thinning out that herd. The KKK loved her. Woodrow Wilson, probably the greatest racist that ever sat in the Oval Office,
Right.
loved
know.
her. Everybody did.
Yes.
All right. Statistics class, here would have been a good question for him, Kevin. Why is it that almost 79% of all Planned Parenthood abortifacient services are placed within walking distance of minority neighborhoods?
Yes. Yes. Exactly.
You know,
They are.
why do the statistics have to be that way?
Absolutely. Yeah. You go to a black neighborhood and they're there. They're right there. Yeah. And people
Yeah.
take advantage
You're right.
of it because they made a mistake.
Disintegrate the family.
They made a mistake.
That
They got
and
pregnant.
fact-
They'll go there.
Yeah. And the thing of it is, as part of LBJ's Great Society,
Yeah.
all these social welfare programs were designed. I don't care what anybody says, man.
Right. I
They
agree.
were designed to replace the black man in his home.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
Because
They were
they
designed
can't have
that
a
way.
man hanging. You can't have a man hanging
Right.
around there if they're going to get that
Right.
government check.
Yeah. That's it.
Wow.
So he's gone.
Yeah.
He's cast out. The government cast him out of his own home. Tell me that's
Exactly.
not racist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is
Before
racist.
all that happened,
Mhm.
in the Black American home, it was like 70% had the husband and the wife, and in
Yes,
today's
right.
society,
And they
it's
flourished.
like 30%.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah,
This
they
is
flourished.
a big issue.
Yes.
This could be a big issue for another show, but that is the case. And they were very successful in the 60s, or before that happened, before the Great Society. They had their own, even if they had their own cities and everything. Did you guys know? Yeah, there we go. That Native Indians had black slaves
Yeah.
in America.
Yeah. And these people want to portray the indigenous people, the American Indian, as being this wise, tuned in, laid back, plugged into the earth, philosophical guy. They committed genocide against one another. Tribes would kill each
Yes,
other over
right,
hunting grounds
Right.
or over points of honor, and they enslaved not only themselves, but you're right, Kevin, they held black slaves, and nobody
were
says
human.
anything about it.
They were just as human as the
Yes.
rest of us,
And
Yeah.
all our errors.
The Indian was no more a noble savage than the Aztec, than the Mongol, than the Cossack, than the Gaul, than the Egyptian in his day, the Greek. Everybody killed, raped, enslaved.
Yes.
Everybody.
Absolutely. You're right. That's absolutely true.
At base human
You know,
nature.
but then we had Andrew Jackson.
And in the
who
United
totally hated
States-
Indians.
He killed almost 100,000 guys to stop it.
Irish
You know?
slaves, yeah. So
150
Doug brings up
years
Irish
ago,
slaves.
yeah. 100.
Yes.
Y'all
Bla-
or
Blazing
Chinese.
Saddles.
Look what. I'll stand back while I whip this out.
Yes.
I'd like to accept this laurel and hearty handshake.
That is, that is the most, okay, that's number one of the most what do you call it? One of the worst films.
They would burn Mel Gibson. They would burn Mel Brooks at the stake today if he tried to make that movie.
Yes.
You know it?
Yes.
They would
Yeah,
be
not
rioting
woke.
in the streets. If they-
Not woke.
Yes.
yeah, that was a pretty sleepy movie, definitely.
All right. See you later, Blog Talk fans. We're going to be leaving here in a minute. So that's Blog Talk. Blog Talk is signing off, and appreciate you coming on. James,
Kevin.
hey, have you seen the fan list, James? Well,
What?
Well, that's for the radio version. Have you seen the number of fans we got on Blog Talk?
No.
If
No.
you look at the stats,
That's- I haven't
my
done a
goodness.
radio show in
I
a
know.
year, and I've been kind of unplugged for a little while. But
All
by the way, I
over.
do want to mention that. Really?
Yes. Yeah.
Where are we the
All over the
hottest
world.
at? I'm just curious.
USA, Europe. Sometimes you look at your stats, you'll see it went to Philippines where I used to live. It goes everywhere. People are listening to this all
Us.
over the world.
Me, you, us.
Yes, yes. Your show, whatever day your show is, you look that up and you'll see I think somewhere on the page. I think it just went up. But if you go there, it'll actually show you.
Well, I'll have to check that out because I haven't done any. Well, this is the first live broadcasting I've done in a while, and and over the last year, I've probably done maybe, I don't know, 4 or 5 shows, and most of them were with Mike Cutler, so I didn't have to talk a whole lot.
Yeah, Mike. Oh my gosh, yes. So Darren, James is.
I love that guy, man. He is great video.
Yes, James is a huge Star Trek fan. That's why he's got the Star Trek, background there. Captain James. Yes, he's the captain of the Enterprise. But yeah, we have a lot of fans. We got a lot of people that listen. Oh, I got to turn this on. And all kinds of organizations.
Well, that's great. I had no idea. I thought it was just me and you. I didn't.
No.
I would send it to my brother. He might give me a sympathy watch or something.
No,
that's awesome. No, really,
it's all good.
And you know what? Here's the thing: we are on, and you did this, and I did it at the same time. We got in this thing when the window was probably at its widest, and what I'm talking about is internet alternative broadcasting. I remember thinking, and I thought about it for the first 4 years of the Obama administration. I didn't even think about it. I might learn. And then when he won re-election, I said, okay, all right. I don't know anything about this, but I love radio, and I've listened to a boatload of these cats, and I know what they're talking about. I understand the rhythm, the ebb and flow, and all the feng shui and all that. And so I decided to say what I wanted to say in this forum. And that's what you've done, and that's what anybody who podcasts has done. And what's happening is, as the establishment media and the establishment newspapers and the American Pravda or TASS, whatever you want to call it, they're imploding. People are doing away with telecable, and they're watching streaming. They're going with Amazon. They're going with Netflix. They're going with Hulu. They can get options from internet television networks to whatever they want. They can order it a la carte. They can have specifically the channels that they want, rather than saying, daggone it, man, there's like 1,200 channels and there's nothing on. So these guys are losing ground. They're losing ground daily.
Absolutely.
And here we are.
Yes.
And we're killing. Well, I guess we are. I mean, like I said, for a long time, I thought it was just me and you. I didn't know anybody else.
No, see,
but this
what
is
you
great.
see here isn't reality. This is going to run, James. Okay. Here we got. So new calling network. Here's the people. You look at, you just go to the dashboard and they're all in there. So you got New Calling Network, Tammy Peterson, Live Truth Radio. We got radio entities that are listening to us. Where's Obama's birth certificate? Justin Harper.
Well, hey, you all.
Yeah,
that's great, man.
Yeah, we got conservative. We got all
Thank you
kinds
very
of
much.
there. So once you get in there, you look at that and you'll be like,
listening to me and you.
Yes.
Listening to the three of us. Son of it.
So we got
that
Conservative Nation
great.
Radio, Shamrock Radio. Dude, I didn't know that was in there for a while though, but it's amazing. So.
Well, I would do, honestly, I love radio so much, I would probably do this crap if no one listened. And I really do mean that, because radio, I am a steely-eyed radio man. Don't make any mistake about that. I love it. I've loved it all my life, but that's really encouraging, man. That I'm going to, thanks you guys. I'm going to hurry up and do a show. I'll see you guys next
Those are just the fans, and then you go to, you do a show and then you go back and you look at the stats. You download the stats on the same page, I believe, and it shows you what countries, how many people downloaded it. Like, I think a couple of weeks ago, I looked at it, it was like 111 downloads on it.
Does the FBI ever show up on that list?
No. No, it doesn't matter.
Guys,
I don't talk politics.
A couple of years ago, my brother and his family got me a an Alexa. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh yeah.
From Amazon, the Alexa
Yes.
little thing.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not making this up. I tried it. I saw it on the internet, saw it on Facebook. I didn't believe it, so I did it. We're sitting around. I'm talking with Alexa. I said, Alexa, bloop, are you still working for the CIA? and the blue light, blah, 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 boom. She would not answer me.
What?
She's never answered me.
Wow.
They've never answered
man.
that question.
Okay.
Yeah. Are you still working for the CIA? And you know how I would think, and then pull up whatever information it is you asked of it. No. Had a little trouble finding this. Something was wrong in the retrieval matrix, I guess.
Wow.
Or maybe they're still working for the CIA, and you know how those guys are. I mean, you would at least think she would say, Alexa can neither confirm nor deny the existence of my employment.
That's
But no,
CIA
it doesn't
talk
even
right
give you that.
there.
Doesn't even give you that.
That's insane. I like that. We gotta try that. We gotta try that live.
End of service.
Yeah,
This has been great. I enjoyed you guys coming on, and
absolutely.
Hey, by the way, Darren, you should get your own show. You're a very wise man.
Yeah.
Very, very wise.
And you're welcome. You're welcome to visit me anytime you like. I've enjoyed this tremendously with all you guys.
Yeah.
So do we have a
it was
we have a
nice.
slot
It's a
open
good
on
way
Monday?
for me to get my feet wet again.
Do we have a slot open on Monday?
Who, me? Us?
No.
Yeah,
yeah,
I think
us.
so.
Yeah, Darren, you ready? You interested
At Patriot Nation? I'm sure we did. Yeah.
For Monday?
for a Monday?
Monday
Yeah.
night? I think I'm available.
Even if you do it like once a month, that's even cool. That's cool. I'll show you how to get it together.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
We would. I think that would be a welcome addition. Yeah. Doug,
yeah,
I haven't
agree,
had a
'cause
chance
you're-
to say, hey, man. Doug Stack's been with us, and I've been watching over here on the chat, and he's been with us. He's been with us a while. It's good. Hey, Doug.
Yeah, I've watched his comments.
Yes,
That's a
Doug
great
is
guy
on it.
right there, man.
But Doug,
Yeah.
Doug is a fantastic guy. If you ever Doug Stack, just like it's
bet.
spelled, Doug Stack. This guy he used to be 450 pounds. Now he's 160 something. This is the guy. I don't know if I told you about before, but the food he puts out there. Oh my goodness, the recipe. So he has a weight loss plan for people, and the results are amazing. So Doug is the real deal. So thank you,
Yeah,
Doug, for
you
contributing.
You did a weight loss program
And-
too.
and
I
Doug-
think it was called irritable bowel syndrome or something.
Yeah, I had that. Yes, I had that. I got over it. It was my medication that caused it. So, yeah, that's a whole other. That's a good story. You got to do some kind of medical hacking show or something. But then I found out that James and I played the same instruments.
Well, you know what?
In high school.
Yes,
And since we're apparently since this is this, I guess this is the old guy talking about their ailments segment. I was irritable, Doug. Okay, so let's just go ahead and let's get it out. Yeah,
Doug.
I got
mine
sick
was
in
caused by
July.
medication.
Doug, you're gonna like this
Uh-oh.
one, man. Doug, you're gonna love this one, bud. I got sick in July, or some kind of flora and fauna bacterial issue in my gut. It took me about a week to figure out what was going on. It took me about 2.5 more weeks to get over it, but stuff just ran through me. I mean, and it was a terrible place to be. And I was reduced to like bananas and yogurt, and I was taking a probiotic supplement to kind of restore balance. But since that time, a lot of the things that I really dug eating, my palate has changed and my appetite has changed remarkably. And I've gone from 275, 280 to 235 in the last few months, and I haven't felt better in my life. I don't grunt and groan and cuss every time I go up and down the steps or sit down, and it's tremendous, man. It's just felt great, and I'm hoping I can just I'm working on portion things now, and I'm at the point where if I consciously order half of what I used to eat, I'm still not going to finish it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So Dougie, and I know, and if anybody has paid any attention to Doug here, he's a motivator. He's a doer. He's got it accomplished. And I've never told you, Doug, but I've really admired you, and I'm really proud of your story and where you're at, man. And you've been kind of like an inspiration for me to maintain, even though it happened. I wouldn't recommend it for everybody. I'll tell you that. I would not but it was, if there had to be a positive outcome to it, this was definitely it. And I've backed up into, I don't know, gosh, probably a couple of dozen shirts that I can wear. Oh, you guys will love this. I'm not going to show it, but I will model it at some point. Star Trek people, you know the green shirt. You know the one I'm talking about, the Kirk After Hours shirt, right?
Yes.
Wraps around and got the badge down here. All right, hold on, wait, it gets better. It was about 4 years ago. I ordered one of these things from Taiwan, and I didn't fit. I worked.
I knew it.
Nothing happened. Nothing happened.
I knew it.
Nothing happened. I couldn't make any ground. Well, once I figured out what was going on with this, and I got down to about 240, I said, you know what, man? I'm going to see if I can find that in the closet. And I did. And I looked at it, and I didn't put it on just yet. And I got down under 240, and I slipped that sucker on, and I'm going to tell you, boys.
Felt good, didn't it?
Next time I come on, I'll be here. I'll be here in the Kirk After Hours Hound Dog shirt.
Okay, that sounds good. Yeah, Doug is like, he's been on the show many times, and I appreciate his input on things. Yeah, yes, Doug is funny. Doug is hilarious. So yeah, Doug, thank you so much.
I've had a great time tonight,
contributing.
Kevin.
I have too.
Oh,
so
absolutely.
look, the numbers kind of lie. What happened last week? Just for your, yeah, there we go. Join me on it. No, that's not going to happen. 1,000 push-ups in November. So
well, that's not all at one time, is it? Because I would need a month
Yes.
to do a lot of things. A minimum of a month.
You know, it's been a while since I've done push-ups, but
We'd have some guns when we come up out of there, though.
So yeah, reminds me of basic training again. But yeah, so we'll have to get together again and do something. And James, I look forward to you returning. When are you returning this week?
Well,
Thursday?
I was thinking about this week, but you've given me the opportunity to get my feet wet here, and we've had some great company. We should do it, and I haven't had to be a solo act. I'm thinking next Thursday, and at some point between now and next Thursday, I'll be getting up with Gary Benford from United Patriots Uprising, the superstar, the Godfather, the Podfather.
Oh my gosh!
He's invited me to be on the show, man. I'm really honored to get to do that because that's the stratosphere, man. You know what I mean?
Yes.
He's got Sorbo, he's got Lieutenant General Flynn, and now he's gonna screw all that up and bring me on.
So both you and I are going to be on his show separate times. So because of I'm doing it for the magazine. So he's going to be in the podcast with George magazine.
Oh, by the way, congratulations on, man. That is huge. That is absolutely huge.
Yeah.
That's American Thinker huge, dude. That's fantastic.
So my friend who always got me into, or who told me how to do the articles for American Thinker, stuff like that. That's a format I got from him. So Ralph Binko, thank you out there. And I told him, I said, hey, I'm getting in this magazine. He's like, you're gonna get in, George? So he's in there he's always in the DC area, and he's also always doing these things. And he was like surprised, but I'm very thankful. And I think all my friends, Gene Ho and Right Side Blonde, that's accurate. That's what she uses her moniker, Rachel Right Side Blonde, and all the people at George, and Terrell Owens is in that issue too as well, and other people. I showed it to you today.
What a class act right there.
Well, thanks. I've seen that from afar years ago, and like, wow, that's amazing, because JFK was running it at the time, and there was no way. If you told me I'd be in it, I'd say no, there's no way. But things happen. So anyway, back to Gary. Gary, is like Gary was on our network last
Okay.
year, 2 years ago, right? We're for Darren. This guy has everybody, all the big people at the top. Branko, was it Branko? Yeah, the artist who was
Yeah.
on there.
Yeah.
General Flynn, the person,
Kevin
who's
Sorbo,
Rich,
Sam
Rich?
Sorbo. I mean,
Kerry
it's
Lake
been,
was on
like I
there.
said, it's stratosphere. It's these
Yeah,
you can't
I
find
know.
these guys. You can't find these guys on legitimate established talk radio programs. And
Right.
Gary gets, I mean, these are like A+ listers.
Actresses,
And
actors.
Morgan Brittany, you know, that was one that
Yes,
he got
Morgan
into
Brittany. She was
too
on
early
Dallas.
on there.
Yeah.
She's been a repeat
She was
guest.
also the Birds. I think.
Well, Letitia James.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah. So Gary's our hero.
Just
He talks
quality
to us. He
people.
calls us. He's so down to earth too. So he's like everybody. Everybody shows up. He's got a great publicist apparently.
real.
But congratulations on that,
Well-
and have fun. Have fun with that.
Yeah, it's going to be a great time. I'm excited about it. And like I said, next Thursday plus every Sunday at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, I have well, it's a killer for news and commentary. 4 p.m. on a Sunday afternoon is prime time, baby, and I'm there on the Mojo 50
Mojo
radio network.
50.
Mojo50.com. If you're not listening, you should be, because it is the very best in libertarian and conservative talk radio. Mojo50.com. See how easy I do that stuff? Man, I mean, it just flows.
So, James, I have to tell you, the first time I did my show, when it came on, I like 30 seconds, I'd be like really nervous. And then I was just like, I just let it just, repeat the number, blah, 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 put on the promo, and then everything else goes. So if you're interested in that, if you want to do just a show just to see what it's like, you can do that. So,
yeah,
on
that would be
Monday?
fun. But it's and nowadays this is the thing. I spent about $80 on a blue Snowball radio mic.
nice,
You know?
nice.
And it's a fine microphone with the right software. You can do excellent. You can do top quality recordings at home that are clean and clear, easy for everyone to understand. That the volume levels, and doesn't take a whole lot. It's some of the I'm using software that I got free off the internet. I mean, I've upgraded it, but it was the stuff I started with 10 years ago, 12 years ago. Anybody can do this. If you want to do this, if you have something you want to say, and let's take politics out of the mix. Doug Stack, motivated guy. He's got a terrific story. He could come on a radio program. He could do his own show, 30 minutes, hour show every week if he wanted to, just talking about the success stories and the people he's helped and the health tips and the dietary tips that he could pass out. And that is no joke. If you like comic books, it doesn't matter. It's easy to get into this, and it is as free a level of free speech as I think we'll have in this country for a long time. And who knows when they'll shut it down. So if you've got something to say, speak now. Doesn't matter what it's about. And one last thing, I'm going to get off here. Thanks again, Kevin, for the opportunity to be here. This has been a big help to me in kind of reigniting my spark and love for this, because it's kind of a tough year
You're
for me.
the pro.
I have a lot of fun with what I'm doing, and I love sharing it. But yeah, you've helped me.
Thank you very much.
Hey, Doug.
But next Thursday.
Peace out. Yeah. Cool. Thanks, James.
It was great meeting you. I'm looking forward to seeing what you're going to be doing with us. I think that's an exciting thing. And if you decide to do it, we'll be happy to have you on. Kevin, take care, everybody else. God bless you. God bless America. We'll see you next time.
All right.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Move from the
Hey,
stage.
Doug,
All
who
right.
wrote that software for you in 1849? Did King James did King James help you with that?
I think did he leave? I don't know, he might have left.
Yeah, he's leaving. He's thinking
So Anyway, yeah. So there's a strategy. Like, actually, you could do. Okay, we could do Wednesday, but I'll let everybody go, and I'll talk to you offline. So everybody, thanks for coming on the American Legion Show. This is also the Kevin White Show, and I simulcast. So had a lot of good talk today, and great guests. And yeah, like I said, you have the gift. You have a gift there. So so we'll see you next Wednesday at 7 o'clock. I don't know who my guest is going to be yet. I'm thinking. So here's what I could do. We could actually piggyback the same broadcast an hour. So that's what we do on Fridays. And then you can come on right after me or right before me. And then we could, then we could be the engineer for that. So we're going to try to bring our engineer back. So anyway, that's it. That'll do it for the American Legion Show. So if you hang on for a second, I'll get right back to you. Thank you, everyone. Good night. God bless America.